What's up, everybody? My name is Brady Morgan. I am the host of the Entrepreneurism podcast. I'm here with Nick Oliveri. He is the co-founder at Impact Snacks, the world's most sustainable snack. Nick, what's going on, man?
What's happening, Brady? It's great to be on. Thanks for having me. And just really excited to get going and discuss.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on. Before we dive into your entrepreneurial journey, what Impact Snacks is, how the nature of it is today, I always ask this first question: what's the dumbest thing you've ever spent money on?
That is a loaded question. So first thing that comes to my mind is so I'm a surfer. I don't know if you know that. Very passionate. I learned with one of my friends from California taught me. I learned in Santa Cruz at Jack's Beach, so perfect place to learn over there. Although I'm based out of the East Coast now, but when you buy equipment for surfing, especially when you're doing a lot of cold water stuff, like I do in the Boston North Shore area, it's always good to just be protected. We're talking about your body here and the thermal energy. It's important to conserve. So
Right.
Worst thing I've ever spent money on was very, very cheap surf booties. And yeah, they're these $15 things that, I thought since I had them, they'd work. Super thin, not reliable, and when you're going out in like March and April, they do not serve their purpose, and it's basically just a waste of however much I spent on them. So don't skimp on surf booties, guys. Don't skimp.
That's crazy, man. So when you go surfing, did you see sharks at all or anything like that?
Good question. So actually, the first few times I went, I saw a bunch of seals, and so that's generally a bad sign because sharks are afoot. That's what that means. But I was in a reef, so it was actually protected for the most part from sharks. Other than that, very, very seldom do I see anything else. It's mainly just seals.
Yeah, the reason I asked it, I saw a video today. I think it was on SportsCenter of all places, but it talked about how there was a shark, and it was a pretty big shark, about less than a mile out from the shore, just swimming in the shallow water. So it's kind of scary to think about. And I know with surfing, you're obviously getting deeper waters. So I'd imagine there's things out there, but you just don't see them all the time. So
they really are. They definitely are. Yeah. And yeah, one of the beaches we like to go to out west anyway is called Manresa. And just a few months after I was over there on a trip and just hanging out and surfing with friends, there was a shark attack. Tragic stuff, scary stuff, but they're around, man. They're around.
Yeah.
So
yeah, scary stuff, man. But less about that, more about Impact Snacks. So Impact Snacks is the world's most sustainable snack, and we were talking about this before we started recording, but you've had a few pivots over the past few years. And of course, now more than ever, to be completely honest with you, man, health conscious people are very much alive nowadays. Everyone is health conscious. Everyone is trying to get rid of processed food, preservatives, and stuff like that. So how are you able to call yourself the world's most sustainable snack?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we arrived at all the sustainability initiatives we do. I'll touch upon all of them real quick. We have a home compostable wrapper. I don't know if you've seen us on TikTok or Instagram, but you can literally eat the wrapper. It's made out of soy. Even the vegetables are made out of inks. So this thing is straight up home compostable, decomposes in less than a month in organic matter. Our packaging peanuts, they're made out of wheat and potato starch. You can eat those things too. Go down the drain, doesn't pollute groundwater resources. And all of our other packaging is either made out of recycled materials or post-consumer waste. We take that very seriously. And then actually on the ingredient side, and basically from farm to doorstep, our whole supply chain has been tracked by LCA compliant carbon accountants. And that's a term and in a profession I haven't heard until now, we've been doing this for a while. But yeah, carbon accountants actually track our full supply chain, and we reclaim that carbon by 250% of what we emit by actually investing in green renewable energy projects as well as reforestation. So
for the person like me, right, the consumer perspective, you can say a lot of those things and they just go right over my head, right? A lot of those things sound good. You hear the word green, you hear the word carbon, you hear the word sustainable. How do you market to the everyday consumer in a way that they understand?
Yeah, totally. So I think the main thing in the primary aspect of doing that is it has to do with, okay, what can we find common ground on? What can we relate to, right? Because you're totally right. There's so much out there. And part of the reason why we're doing all this, and like I can go into the specs and talk about all these finite details, right? Which some people absolutely want to hear. But part of the reason why we can do that and why we feel compelled to do that is because we're basically the anti-greenwashing company. I don't know, Brady, if you're familiar with the term greenwashing, but
I'm not.
Yeah, so it has to do with, and it mainly originated from very large corporations that don't really care about the planet. They don't really care about green energy, compostable materials, anything like that. They just care about profits and returning to their shareholders, which itself isn't a bad concept. But really what they do is they say a lot of fluff. They say a lot of things like they're going to try and they are making a pledge and they're, and you see it across all the world's largest corporations. Greenwashing is empty promises. That's what it is. It's empty promises, and it's just superfluous words to try to get the consumer to think, oh, hey, they're doing something good, so I can stay with them. I can continue to consume, right? And that's so first of all, I think that's it's a harmful thing that pervades nearly everything today that we watch, that we consume, that we engage with. And two, yeah, it's very sneaky. So let me give you an example. I don't know how familiar you are with TikTok and the platform of TikTok, but we've had a lot of videos going up that we don't get into the specs. We just say what the material's made out of, and then we literally eat the wrapper. And it's something that it got a lot more attention than even we thought, just because it's kind of shocking. And it's kind of like, well, wait a second, like, I'm not sure if company X, Y, and Z can do that. Why not? And yeah, right. And so yeah, it's funny, it's shocking, it's got a little bit of everything, but for the most part, it actually begs a question. And that's all we try to do, is we try to get consumers to ask the questions. Right. Hopefully that makes sense.
So within the actual snack itself, right, we can talk about the packaging. That's really cool. You can actually eat it. It makes me remember about, I think it's Orbit gum. They used to always say you could chew the wrapper. And I used to always try, and it would just taste like a wrapper. So I don't know, anything about that. But about the actual snack itself, like I was saying before, my wife is very health conscious. I'm pretty health conscious now because of that. We shop it in the organic section at our local Kroger. I don't know if you have a Kroger, but just a grocery store. And there's all these just bars, right? So that's what I think of as like a healthy snack, is like a protein bar or like a fig bar or something like that. And the ones that catch our eyes are always the ones that have like 4 to 5 ingredients, and that's it. Because a lot of other bars just fill them with sugar and preservatives and stuff like that. So as far as the actual snack itself, are you filling it with any preservatives, or is it just very, very simple of its 4 to 5 ingredients?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I definitely know some of the brands you're referring to, lots of nuts and twig companies out there that are doing that. And you know what? I think it's a fantastic marketing angle for their own sake. But so our chief product officer, he's a neurosurgeon, Dr. Matthew Phillips, and so he, alongside the food scientists that we had help create this bar and this formula, us and him in kind of the research and development team, we took a look at that. We see the importance of clean label and very, very short ingredient lists, but at the end of the day, we think that ingredient list of 3 to 4 to 5 ingredients, while it's still healthy, and yes, we're all whole foods, we're all natural, all natural ingredients through and through, and we take that very seriously. We also think, and no pun intended, but we think consumers need the most impact out of what they actually eat. I have trail mix sitting beside me, and I'm nuts and twigs guy myself, but you can't discount the idea of putting also prebiotic fiber and superfoods like monk fruit and stevia as a sweetener in there. That's not only 0 calorie, but it's actually sweeter than sugar, and it has these benefits that I never would have known about, that Dr. Matthew Phillips would say, look, it actually stimulates the hippocampus in the short term. It's really good for brain function and memory, things like that. Yeah, and so what we did out of that is we created this snack that's good for your mind, body, and your gut. So, prebiotic fiber for your gut and things like that. And, we have stevia and monk fruit for certain regions of the brain that I'm obviously an amateur in, but Dr. Matt can help you out there. And and so we basically just tried to load it with the best. We tried to spare nothing in being reductive,
Yeah, absolutely. And when I think about those bars, I was leading to this question that have, 4 to 5 ingredients. They always don't taste the best, sometimes really dry, or the flavor, they say it's blueberry. And I'm like, I taste dirt, that's what it tastes like. So from my perspective, right, like my wife is way more health conscious than me, but I still want to be healthy, but I also want to enjoy what I'm eating. So did y'all put thought into that of saying, hey, let's build something that's actually healthy and, green and stuff like that, but also something people crave? I think people mix it up where they try to be so organic and so healthy or they're vegan or vegetarian or whatever, but they're miserable every single time they eat. And unfortunately, eating is something we have to do as people, as humans. So
right.
Did y'all take that into account of just the flavor itself?
Flavor was, among many other things, it was paramount to actually us putting this on the market. It was absolutely everything. We understand people need to like what they eat. It's a matter of fact, people need to like what they eat. And
Exactly.
let me actually show you the consistency real quick. One moment. I didn't expect to do this, but since we're really going to dive in, so right here we have the iced caramel latte. It's packaging here, and so take a look inside. It's all about delight for us. If people don't like what they eat, there's no point. And so not only is that for the taste and for the ingredients, but and of course the taste is going to speak for itself, and you can talk to people that have already tried it and things. But
Right.
What we kind of like to do is we like to have people try it, and then we ask them. We say, hey, do you taste the lion's mane mushrooms in them? Do you taste the kale? Do you taste the maca root? And do you taste the prebiotic fiber? Right. So that's and it's the answers are always no, and they're shocked at what's in it.
Right.
But taste is paramount. See that, and it looks not nearly
good.
as good as it tastes.
It looks good. The
and I think it looks pretty good. Yeah.
It looks good. And from a purely business perspective, right? This podcast is about entrepreneurship, and regardless of what field you're in, I think everyone is an entrepreneur in their own way. But you have to think about, okay, how do we get repeat customers? And if we create a bar that's super health conscious, but we just make it taste super health conscious, not very good, we're probably not going to have repeat customers, right? Why are people going to buy something that doesn't taste good? So from y'all's perspective, saying, hey, flavor is paramount to the success of impact snacks, because if it doesn't taste good, we're probably not going to have as many repeat customers, regardless of how good it is for you and your body. Would that be pretty accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the core of what we do. It's about taste. It's about delight. And so even beyond these snacks though, or just the bars that we have now, we have iced caramel latte and dark chocolate brownie available on the site right now. And that's shortly after we closed our Kickstarter campaign. But it's at the core of everything we do and everything we think about. So for every new flavor, and then for every new snack, and then for every new service, and there's a lot going on in the back end that I do not have the time to touch on. But really the core of our philosophy is sustainability in everyday purchases should not be difficult. And it also shouldn't be difficult for other businesses to implement those. And we can do that. So that's kind of everything we believe in, because the more difficult it is, the less people are actually going to gravitate to it. And it's just going to continue this vicious cycle, right?
Absolutely. So along this journey, right, you mentioned you just released the 2 separate bars after your Kickstarter campaign, which, if you don't mind me asking, how successful was that Kickstarter campaign?
So we were insanely, humbled. Our community really showed up. Let's just say that, so our goal was $20,000 from the Kickstarter campaign, and then we could not only get off the ground, but we could produce, we could run. And, we raised a seed round and closed it this February of this year for $310,000.
Wow.
That carried us and enabled us to build what we have today. This Kickstarter launched late August. Goal was $20,000. We hit that goal in less than 13 hours.
Wow.
And we were floored. It was pandemonium. It was crazy. And so we were humbled by the community that really showed up for us. And then we ended up closing it 30 days later at above $40,000. So
wow.
Huge success. And it just kind of goes to show you we're doing plenty of things beyond snacks. We got a lot in the pipeline, including services to actually enable other businesses to do very similar things to us. But ultimately, it came down to people, and especially past entrepreneurs that have done successful Kickstarters before. They're like, look, guys, you're in food and beverage, right? It's not that easy. People aren't going to be able to taste it before they actually go and pledge. It's not easy. Expect a fraction of what you're asking for. And, I say the community really showed up because it was the people who genuinely believed in our mission that were able to propel us forward, which was a beautiful thing for me.
So with people that did invest, did they get any sort of sample or anything from you guys?
They got snacks. They got snacks.
Impact snacks.
Yeah. Impact snacks. Yeah. Because the Kickstarter basically we give out or we set an array of rewards that you can pledge money towards because it's crowdfunding, and it's non-equity. You pledge for the rewards, and most of our rewards consisted of varying amounts of snacks. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So with these Kickstarter campaigns, you now have the funds to move forward and dive into deeper areas of the business. Beyond these bars, you mentioned you have stuff in the pipeline, and I imagine some stuff you probably can't mention yet, but what is going to be beyond these bars as far as the snacks are concerned?
Yeah. So got plenty of flavors in the pipeline. We made sure to collect a lot of consumer feedback and feedback on the Kickstarter surveys, things like that. So we got a bunch of flavors we're working on right now. And then beyond that, we're exploring a lot of things can't promise anything. I can't go too deep into it, but it's going to be a lot more than just these bars. And these bars are going to get revamps, and they're going to get new flavors and everything else of the like. It's going to be fantastic. And, we're just trying to enable as many people as possible to be as sustainable as possible in their purchases. Businesses, the thing.
So with these bars, right? I think that's the main topic and the main product you guys offer, which is great because the great thing about bars is they're easy to eat. You can eat them pretty quickly. And if they taste good, it's that much better. Let's say someone is very workout conscious. They're tracking their macros, maybe even going as far as tracking their micros. You mentioned that before we started recording. What do the macros look like in these bars, right? Because a lot of protein bars, one in particular that I really enjoy is the Power Crunch bar. I don't know if you ever had a Power Crunch bar, but it's just essentially just a wafer and it's got protein in it. But it also has a lot of fat in it. So if I'm workout conscious and tracking my macros, I don't want to eat a lot of those bars because I'm quickly going to reach my fat intake for the day. So how does that compare to y'all's bars in regards to the whole workout situation?
Yeah, it's a great question. Just like anything else we do, anything else we release, we focused on balance. So, along with our micronutrients, our macros are highly, highly balanced. So we're looking at 10 grams of fat. It's 4 grams saturated. We're looking at 210 calories in a serving, which is the bar.
Right.
Then we got 12 grams of protein, as well as 22 grams of carbs. But what we most focused on, tried to just balance as best as possible with the taste and everything else is actually our fiber content, which we're really happy we got it. We got our fiber up to 6 grams. And so, yeah, it's a dietary fiber that just, in order to really, your body to successfully intake a lot of those micros and everything else, the fiber was an important aspect for us. So 6 grams of that, and yeah, definitely balanced.
With fiber, I know that's super important, but I think people treat it as and it's probably a micronutrient. I don't know too much about the whole diet and the specifics and whatnot, but I was watching a video and he talks about how people underestimate the power of fiber in your diet. People only track their carbs, protein, or fat. They don't track their fiber because they don't care, right? And finding foods that taste good but are good at high in fiber can sometimes be tough, to be completely honest with you. So that 6 grams of fiber help me and my audience understand the power of fiber and why 6 grams of fiber, like you just talked about, is actually a good thing.
In a lot of ways, fiber should be the staple of any diet. So if you're not getting any fiber, your body's going to be in real trouble real quick. And so a lot of people, they'll have these, and you're totally right. Low fiber diets across the board, they're super common because it's, in a lot of refined products and in processed foods, fibers oftentimes it's just an afterthought, or it's not even included.
Right.
And so dietary fiber is an extremely important staple mainly for the digestion, among many, many other things, of micronutrients, and it's huge for your body's stability and strength as well. It's immensely important.
Absolutely. Yeah. The reason I'm asking, back when I was in middle school, I didn't know anything about fiber, but my mom, before a soccer game, she gave me a Fiber One bar, which at the time was just like, it seemed like the only way to actually get fiber was just a Fiber One bar. I ate 3 of them before a game, and I did not feel good about halfway through the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it makes you poop too.
Yeah, exactly. I did not feel good.
Yeah,
it was a learning experience. So Nick, about this journey, right? As I was saying before, everyone is an entrepreneur in their own right, regardless of whatever field you're in. Also along this journey, like we've talked about a lot of cool things, the products, the initiatives behind your products and stuff like that. But I also know there's stuff that sucks in business. There's roadblocks you hit. There could be legal issues, whatever. So when was a point where Impact Snacks hit one of those roadblocks? And how did you guys get around it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it does. I'll quickly go back and digress. So Corey Nobile, who's the other founder, and my business partner and I, we met in 6th grade in our hometown of North Andover, Mass. And so we met in band class. Neither of us really liked the trumpet very much. Kind of a dirty instrument, just my opinion, right? And so, so Corey and I, we were doing like ventures and endeavors, up through middle school, high school, global digital marketplaces, clothing lines, whatever else have you, right? And we've always kind of had that entrepreneurial bug. Fast forward, we were college roommates, and that was when Impact Snacks, what was formerly known as GeoProtein, but it did actually begin to pick up a little bit of steam. We had this first order of bars, these clean label bars, and like beginning to pick up some traction in sales, and we were learning so much in D2C and in online and marketing and everything else. And so one of our biggest roadblocks, and it was a very long one, a drawn out roadblock, but was fundraising. Our initial process for fundraising, it's just, if you talk to any entrepreneur, whether they've done it or have not done it, it's done it successfully anyway. It really is a drag. And so one of the biggest roadblocks for us was just being able to find the right investment partners in order to really work alongside and actually enable us to come to fruition, right? So, I'd say to, any entrepreneur who has an idea or has been working on something for a while, and it's just, you'll know when it's time to fundraise. And it's not for everyone, and it's not for every business. A lot of bootstrapping can go on, but we knew when it was time. And so I'd say a big roadblock was advice was so cheap, anyone can give advice, right? But I think the most important thing is to just listen to yourself and continue to move on, because you will make it happen if you want it bad enough. It's just about, okay, what's the right route? You won't always know. Who's the right person to talk to? You won't always know. We're so fortunate to now have the absolute best advisors, mentors, and investors. So lucky to have them. But there's a lot of people that want you to listen to them, and so many conflicting opinions from many successful people too. All these people are insanely successful in their own right, but at the end of the day, I think you just need to listen to yourself, whether you're fundraising or not.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think there's a lot of we'll just call them business coaches out there, advisors, whatever, pretty much all the same thing. But you're right. The best business coach might not necessarily be the best for your business, right? I think everyone has a different level of expertise, and it's really up to you, like you said, to listen to yourself. What do we need? What does a business coach need to bring to the table that we can't? And I think people underestimate the power of listening to themselves, right? Because we're in this world that, especially now, if you want to scale a business, you have to have a coach or an advisor or a mentor or something like that. And yes, that is very, very true. But I think people need to trust themselves first, because oftentimes you have the answers to what you're asking the question to. But if you don't have the answers to a specific question, okay, what coach can fulfill those answers, right? So I think it's very important for people, just like you said, just listen to yourself. So along this, right, you mentioned how fundraising was very, very difficult. Obviously, you guys have gotten over that, and it's been successful. What roadblocks do you foresee in the future that could potentially pose a problem?
Yeah. Right now, this team that we're cultivating here is utterly fantastic. I quite literally could not have dreamt up a better team that's forming around us and just rallying around this core mission, which is fantastic. And I guess in that, I think, the common growing pains of any organization that is just, trying to reach product market fit, right? Trying to grow, trying to really hit scale, and everything else. It's not going to be, we're going to have a lot of tweaks, a lot of different like system tweaks, and constantly iterating on, okay, goal setting, are we hitting them, iterating upon like team management, things like that. I think the normal growing pains of a startup is what we're going to be encountering. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I like that answer. And I think to go further, I don't think any business ever gets rid of problems.
No.
I think you're always going to overcome one problem, and there's going to be another problem right there.
There sure is. Yeah.
So I think it's understanding that and knowing that regardless of whatever stage you're in, there's always going to be growing pains. Once you're out of the startup phase, it's going to be like, okay, how do we scale to a huge company, right? Once you're a huge company, how do we stay a huge company?
Right.
So I think it's very, very important as entrepreneurs, business owners, whatever, to just be self-aware that you're never going to be done with issues. It's just going to keep happening.
Never. Yeah. Got to keep climbing, right? Yeah. So
absolutely.
But I know whatever comes our way, I think we have so many skillful people, so many passionate people to just make it happen and weather the storm. We'll be a-okay. And I'm looking forward to those problems.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, Nick, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. The final question I always ask, in a lot of podcast interviews, it's always, what's a piece of advice? But I think advice is kind of oversaturated. There's advice everywhere nowadays, but I think it's getting deeper than that. So, Nick, why do you love what you do? And why is it important for entrepreneurs or business owners to also love what they do?
Very good question. I think it's a good question. It's a pretty complex question. I think it has a simple answer though, and that's ultimately, if you don't love what you do, you're not going to be the best you can be at it. Just plain and simple. You won't. And so that comes with passion. I think it comes with over a long period of time, over years, like cultivating and understanding. But yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Is you really, if you don't have the passion, if you don't love what you do, you won't be great at it. And so I think that's, especially now more than ever, in the modern day, so many opportunities to do so many things. Just take the leap, just seriously take the leap, because that's always the right path.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that, Nick. Well, we're gonna wrap up completely. Where can my audience find you and Impact Snacks online?
Yeah, so TikTok, we're impact.snacks. On Instagram, just look up Impact Snacks. We're there. You can find us. You can find myself. I'm just Nick Oliveri, Oliveri. That's Instagram, LinkedIn. Same with Corey Nobile, Nobile. You can find us. Yeah, we're we're out there. And yeah, I'd encourage any of the viewers to go take a look at our TikTok and let us know what you think about the content. I'd be very curious.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, I will link Nick and Corey's and Impact Snacks links in the description. So reach out to them, go to their TikTok, let them know what you thought about their content and this episode. And Nick, I appreciate your time, man.
It's been awesome. Thanks so much, Brady.